Welcome! Zaslow Show 2.0. It is a Monday, the 22nd of January. Good to have you aboard. Part of the Believe Podcast Network and presented by Anajar and Levine. Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. Best accident attorneys around. You've been in an accident. You go to the ones who have supported the show since the very first day. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. Glad to have you aboard here to start the week. I had a weekend. I did ESPN. I told you guys I signed a new contract with ESPN Radio. I'm going to be on a whole lot more now. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys are listening. Nothing changes. Zaslow Show 2.0 only keeps growing. It's a good thing for all of you guys, for all of us. And I did Friday night game night, Saturday night game night, Sunday, late afternoon, early evening. Yesterday with Brandon Jacobs, did prime time. I'm like an NFL expert. I know so much about football. I'm a football expert now. So we had an action-packed weekend. A lot going on, and we're going to get the week started right here. Of course, with the NFL playoffs, NBA is in full swing. Bet Online has you covered with all the up-to-the-second odds, news, and scores. With additional odds, lines, trends, and info on both desktop and mobile, you can access the world's best wagering information anytime. Head there today to get into the action. See all the updated odds. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. So like I said, I had an action-packed NFL weekend because Friday night, game night with Q Myers, which I'm on again this Friday. I think I may be doing Fridays with Q Myers a lot here, so which is cool. That show's a lot of fun. Did almost all NFL. Saturday night doing game night with Orlando Franklin, former University of Miami tackle. That was fun. Did all NFL. And then Sunday, yesterday, doing primetime with Brandon Jacobs, two-time Super Bowl champion, doing all NFL. I had a very busy weekend. Really great. And I know so much about the National Football League. I'm pretty much an NFL expert now. So certainly, we're going to do a lot of NFL today. We got a lot to catch up on. Let's start, though. Oh, by the way, last night, 9 p.m., right after I got off ESPN Radio doing primetime, brand new episode we live streamed. It's Still Real to Me. That's my pro wrestling podcast. We updated all the huge stories in the world of pro wrestling. And if you did not catch the live stream yesterday, please, you can go and listen on the podcast that gets uploaded wherever you're listening right now to Zaslow Show 2.0. You can catch yesterday's edition of It's Still Real to Me, where, of course, we got Seth Rollins. He's going to be on Raw tonight. Is he going to relinquish the WWE, the world title tonight? I don't know. It's looking like it. Royal Rumble is this weekend. It's everybody's favorite pay-per-view. I am going this weekend, this Saturday night, St. Petersburg, Tropicana Field. My son and I, we're hopping in the car. We're going to Royal Rumble. I'm so excited. So this is a great week. And on top of it, SmackDown is here in Miami this Friday night. So we're gonna have WWE superstars on the show throughout this week. For instance, tomorrow, Shotzi Blackheart is on the show. I'm excited to have Shotzi on. We'll talk WWE and SmackDown Royal Rumble with her. Later on in the week, Austin Theory is going to be on the show. So all leading up to Royal Rumble this Saturday night. And we'll probably do a bonus episode of It's Still Real to Me with final Royal Rumble predictions. Maybe on Thursday night, I think we're going to do it. But go back and listen to yesterday's episode. I love you long time. Okay, so very excited to start this week. Let's start things off here with your favorite little basketball team who look like shit right now. And of course, we're talking about your Miami Heat. So if we can rewind first to Friday night. Now, this team's lost 3 in a row. But if we can rewind to Friday night, and I was super excited for Friday because we had Udonis Haslem's jersey retirement ceremony, which I told you on Friday's show, I think is going to be the most special of all the jersey retirement ceremonies so far because it's the most unlikely. It's so deserved. It's going to be really special because it's not just about what the player did on the court. It's about what he means to the organization and what he has meant to the city of Miami. Miami boy ends up getting his jersey raised to the rafters here at Kaseya Center. And it was a great ceremony. Yeah, I was right. UD cried. You were able to see early on when they brought UD onto the podium after Pat Riley spoke, and immediately he gets choked up. You knew when he was wearing the sunglasses. Why do you wear the sunglasses? Because he doesn't want anybody to see him crying. So when you wear the sunglasses, that means he's going to cry. Right when he got up there to the podium, he starts to get choked up. And then they pan to Alonzo and Dwayne Wade and Tim Hardaway. And the three of them are cracking up all over each other because you know they were talking about that beforehand. Is UD going to cry? Now, Alonzo cried like a baby when he had his jersey retired. Tim Hardaway did not. I don't remember if Dwayne did. But UD got emotional and even said he's got something to read here, but he's not going to be able to get through it because of all the emotion. So he's just gonna riff off the top of his head. I thought UD did a tremendous job. I thought it was a great speech. Riley obviously spoke well. He's so wise. But I thought UD did a terrific job from, family to his Heat teammates to telling stories about Riley. And by the way, I never knew the reason that, like he was saying, my jersey goes up there, Overtown, Liberty City, Little Havana, Little Haiti, they're all going up in the rafters there. And he also said everybody who's helped him, they're going up as well. And he told the story about why he wears number 40, which I did not know. And he dedicates wearing number 40, so also saying that he's part of that jersey going up in the rafters. Former University of Miami great Tim James. I had no idea. I wonder if that story was public knowledge. I had no idea. And I had to explain it to my wife because she didn't know who Tim James is. First of all, when you dedicate it like that, she's like, is Tim James dead? Like, no, Tim James not dead, all right? He's probably like 10 years older than me, And so Tim James, great University of Miami basketball player. Back in the Miami Arena days, he was a late first-round pick by the Heat. The Heat drafted him. It was so cool. And he was with the Heat only for 1 year. He was traded away to Charlotte. I think he only spent a couple more years in the league. But Tim James, OG Miami basketball guy. And he served in the armed services. So much respect for Tim James. And obviously, from Udonis Haslem, I did not know that story. So I thought that was really nice. I liked hearing that. But UD spoke so well, and he was very emotional. I loved it. It was so great. And I can't wait to see what it looks like up there in the rafters. And what I mean is, because when they raise the jersey to the rafters, yeah, you could see it up there, but it's not in place because they can't actually raise it to go in place because then you'd be raising it like in the stands. So it gets raised from the court and then it's kind of like in the middle next to the Jumbotron, and that's not where it goes. Well, the next home game, which is Wednesday night, you'll be able to see actually what it looks like in the rafters next to the other jerseys. I assume next to Dwayne Wade's jersey. So I'm really looking forward to what that's going to look like on Wednesday night. And Friday night was a great ceremony. As far as the game goes, Trae Young missed the game. DeJounte Murray ends up hitting a three, which we all knew was going in. DeJounte Murray hits a three. Terrible job by the Heat. And they wind up losing right before the buzzer. They don't even get a shot off in the end. Caleb Martin, you got to shoot the ball. So now they lose yesterday to Orlando, and they've lost 3 in a row. After the team they'd won 3 in a row or won 4 in a row. I think maybe 3 in a row. Now they have followed it with 3 straight losses. All of them bad. At Toronto, who obviously was like the day after they traded Siakam. They lose at home to a Trae Youngless Atlanta team. And then they lose last night at a good Orlando team. But the point is, 3 straight losses, and they were not competitive in the second half. They were terrible last night. So the Heat, they're in a bad way right now. Now, before we get to that, so UD gets his jersey raised to the rafters on Friday night. And pretty much, Udonis has been respected throughout the league for many years now. Everyone has the utmost respect for Udonis Haslem, except one guy. And that's that piece of shit, Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, I don't know that there's ever been a greater player. And when I say a greater player, I don't mean that he's great. Paul Pierce, the only reason Paul Pierce is in the Hall of Fame is because Kevin McHale and Danny Ainge are best friends, and they colluded to trade Kevin Garnett to the Boston Celtics. And as a result, Paul Pierce gets to be an NBA champion. And you've never heard a one-time championship team talk more about how great they are than those 2008 Boston Celtics. To me, Paul Pierce is not a Hall of Fame player, but he's in the Hall of Fame. So when I say you've never heard of a greater player, what I'm talking about is when you ratio great player to insecurity, there is no one better than Paul Pierce. The most insecure, great, I use with heavy quotation fingers, player in the history of the NBA. And this piece of shit, Paul Pierce. So, Steven Jackson, who I don't like because he's made anti-Semitic comments. I do not like Steven Jackson. But Steven Jackson, it goes to show the respect that everyone has had for Udonis Haslem. So Steven Jackson, he puts out a post after the jersey retirement with a picture of Udonis Haslem's jersey going into the rafters. And Steven Jackson, giving props to UD and saying something like, you want to talk about deserved and not given. This is the definition of that. Congrats to a real one, Udonis Haslem. Awesome. Really nice thing to say, even though otherwise he says very anti-Semitic things, Steven Jackson. Udonis Haslem, have you ever heard of a player, no matter what you think of them, have you ever heard of a player, their jersey being retired, and other players coming out and discrediting them? I've never seen it before. In the history of that league, I've never seen a player get the ultimate honor of having their jersey retired and another player comes out and tries to discredit that person. Well, meet this piece of shit, Paul Pierce. So, Steven Jackson felt like all the real ones got their jersey retired. Being solid still in style. Earned, not given. Salute my boy, Mr. 305, UD. Big congrats. For all the real ones who will never see this day, be proud a real one got his just due. Really nice thing for Steven Jackson to say. So, Paul Pierce decides, you know what? Even though this is a major honor for another player, and it's never happened that a player gets an honor like this and other players discredit them, I am the most insecure player who's ever been to the Hall of Fame, so I gotta say my piece here on Udonis Haslem. And Paul Pierce responds to Steven Jackson with, this one given, bro. Just saying. That's a real piece of shit. And so Udonis Haslem, who, I'm pretty sure he has said this before. If Udonis Haslem sees Paul Pierce, or Kevin Garnett too, I think for that matter, it's on site. I mean, he has said this before. It is on site. And UD responds, of course, to Paul Pierce and says, my first reaction was to choose violence, but I'm going to spare because I know you ain't like that. You're entitled to your opinion, my boy. Great response from UD. Number one, because by telling Paul Pierce you ain't like that, he's telling him that he's a bitch. And then by saying, you're entitled to your opinion, my boy, he's sunning him. He's sunning him by calling him my boy. Excellent response by Udonis Haslem. Once again, Paul Pierce proves to everybody he's a piece of shit. And you gotta figure, UD, the next time he sees Paul Pierce, on site. I mean, there's never been a player in the history of the league who thinks more of themselves while everyone else thinks so much less than Paul Pierce. Man, I shouldn't get so fired up and worked up about it because who cares, right? It's UD's problem. It's not my problem. He didn't need my help. But I can't handle this Paul Pierce. I can't stand him. He's a real piece of shit. Have you ever heard of a player getting an ultimate respect like having their jersey retired, and just unsolicited, another player decides to come out and discredit them. He is a piece of shit, Paul Pierce. Oh, man. I shouldn't let it get to me, but it does. It makes me really angry. So you want to know what else makes me really angry? I don't want to be angry. I'm in a great mood today, man. I'm going to watch some Panther hockey tonight. They got to snap a 4-game skid. That makes me very unhappy, but I'm looking forward to the Panther game tonight, getting back out on the road where they've been excellent. You got Monday Night Raw tonight, which is going to be a great show. I'm in a good mood. It's Royal Rumble week. I'm very excited about that. But the Heat have lost 3 games in a row. Toronto, Atlanta, Orlando yesterday. I don't really need to talk about the game yesterday because the game was terrible. But the story coming out of the game, look, we're only a couple weeks from the trade deadline. You see DeJounte Murray, what he did on Friday night, ruining. I shouldn't even say that he ruined UD jersey night. DeJounte Murray wants to play for the Heat. Before the game, before UD's jersey got raised in the Raptors, DeJounte Murray takes a pic for Instagram of the jerseys hanging in the Raptors, puts it out there. He wants to play for the Heat. The Heat are not going to trade for him. I wish they would, but they're not going to trade for him. I don't think the Heat are going to do anything big. I wish they would. It'd be fun. And of course, the big thing, if nothing else, that you wish they do is get rid of this Kyle Lowry. So, after the game on Friday night, Kyle Lowry didn't start Friday night. Kyle Lowry missed the previous 2 games, and then upon his return, comes off the bench on Friday night. And the team's healthy. I mean, except for Jaquez. The team's healthy. Kyle Lowry comes off the bench Friday night. The team loses. Lowry comes off the bench to the tune of, plays 24 minutes, 2 points, 4 assists, 1 for 4 from the floor, 0 for 3 from 3. He's garbage. He's a garbage player with the Miami Heat. So, of course, that's a big story, Lowry coming off the bench. Here is Kyle Lowry after the game.
I see something different. He wanted to look at something different. He wanted to have me have to come off the bench. That's hopefully it was a 1-game thing for me. And, I can get back in the starting lineup and continue to do what I've done this year.
When can we ever get to a place with Kyle Lowry? And it's clearly never going to happen. When can we ever get to the place where he just says, I want to do what's best for the team? When he just says, my head coach is a 3-time champion, best coach in the NBA. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. I'm just going to do whatever's best for the team. Can you imagine playing the way Kyle Lowry has this year, especially in the month of January, and I'll get to that in a moment. Can you imagine playing the way that he's playing, and after that game talk about wanting to get back into the starting lineup and get back to what you've been doing all year? You've been terrible. You're an awful player, and you've been horrible this month of January, and you want to get back to doing what you've been doing? He says he hopes it's just a one-time thing. So then yesterday rolls around. Guess what? Coming off the bench again. Thank God. Hopefully the next thing is not coming off the bench. Not starting, but not coming off the bench either. So yesterday, Kyle Lowry, he's coming off the bench again. Thank you, baby Jesus. The Heat lose yesterday. Lowry, 25 minutes off the bench. 2 points, 3 assists, 1 for 9 from the floor, 0 for 6 from 3. A game low, if you will, minus 21. Here's Kyle Lowry after the game.
And sort of how is it playing out for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's, for me, as a professional, of course, I'm disappointed, to have to adjust. But I haven't played well in the last couple of weeks, and I understand that. And coach has make a decision, and no, that was a terrible play. The coach has made a decision to, try to move and shake some things and get a different flow. So, as a professional, of course, I will, it's an adjustment, but I have to make it and, figure out how to help the team win.
From the outside, it would look like it's sort of a major thing. It's a big deal. You started the first 35 games, but internally, how has it been playing out? Has have you and Spo been on the same page, or do you just get to the same page?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly your question. I understand what you're saying, but I really don't know how going to answer that question. I mean, me and Spo, the first 35 games, first whatever, we've always been on the same page, and he just made his adjustments. So he's the head coach, so I have to go with what he says and figure it out.
I mean, get the hell off my team. Get the hell out of my city. At least this time, he acknowledges he's been horrible. So, and by the way, in the month of January, including these last 2 games coming off the bench, in the month of January, 9 games, here's what Kyle Lowry has done. Which, by the way, after the game on Friday night, hopes to get back into the starting lineup and get back to doing what he's been doing all year. Here's Kyle Lowry in the month of January. 4.4 points. 3.6 assists. 29% field goals. 5 for 31 from 3, which is 16%. That guy wants to get back in the starting lineup and do what he's been doing all year? Get a clue. Better yet, get a train ticket. Get out of my city. They can't get rid of this guy fast enough. And here seems to be the timeline of events, okay? So, apparently, I don't know where it came from, but apparently him coming off the bench Friday night was disciplinary. I mean, a player of his caliber, not a good player, to have to be served with disciplinary issues is obviously atrocious. But apparently it was a disciplinary issue, which of course he did not acknowledge. He said it's about the coach trying something different. On top of that, he's hoping to get back into starting lineup, hoping it's just a one-time thing so he can get back to what he's doing. He comes off the bench again and now finally at least admits he has not been playing well this month of January. He can't get off this team fast enough. I've never disliked a player the way I have this guy. I usually don't dislike Miami Heat players. I mean, there's some I don't care for, but I don't usually actively hate a player who plays the team and actively want them out of here. Like Hassan Whiteside, who for the most part I was fine with, but Hassan would roll out of bed and get you a double-double, even on the nights he was moping and not trying. So don't tell me how Hassan Whiteside, worst player, most disliked player, he would roll out of bed and get you a double-double. This Kyle Lowry is so not what this organization is about. Get him the hell out of here already. And I understand there's no one out there that wants to trade for him. You gotta be able to find something. As great as this front office is at making moves and working the salary cap, you gotta be able to find something that would get another team to take Kyle Lowry and get rid of him. Get him away from your team. He is poison. Get out of here already. Oh, I can't stand it. All right. You know what I can stand? The Heat are back in action Wednesday against Memphis. And then, by the way, Thursday, weird back-to-back home and home. Boston Celtics. Better snap out of this skid on Wednesday against Memphis. You got a major one on Thursday on TNT against the Celtics. You know how I'll be enjoying those games, though, right? I'll have an ice-cold Johnny Cuba on my hand. That's right. Official beer of Zaslow Show 2.0. Johnny Cuba, European roots with that Caribbean soul. A refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba for yourself. You put it right there in your fridge. You're good to go. Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. Some new locations coming. I'll let you guys know. Don't you worry about that. But you know how I enjoy Monday Night Raw tonight. I'm going to be on my couch in the Zaslow Mansion family room in my underwear with an ice-cold Johnny Cuba in my hand. That's right. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra. Stay tranquilo.